Welcome to today's episode. This is actually our first episode, so bear with us. If you're thinking about buying a home in Douglas County or Lane County, especially if it's your first time, you're in the right spot. I'm Kimberly Karlovich, a local real estate agent and someone who has helped a ton of first-time buyers with this process. I also work with investors, rural properties.
Hey guys, I'm Daniela Gentry, and I am here in Lane County, Oregon, and I work with a lot of first-time homebuyers and established clients. And I also specialize with contingent buyers, so people that have purchased homes but are wanting to upgrade or buy a smaller home. So it's kind of like their first time purchase all over again. So I kind of am all over the board helping people, but I love helping people here in Lane County.
Whether you're looking to buy a cozy starter in Roseburg or a hillside property in Eugene or rural acreage in Sutherland, 10 Mile, or Cottage Grove, today I'm going to walk you through the process. What questions to ask before you buy, how financing works, just a skim over, and what is unique about Douglas and Lane County, the inspection and due diligence processes, a step-by-step buying timeline, and my goal is to always take away confusion and to help you feel very confident and prepared.
So, the first thing that people should ask are, what's your budget? Like, what's that monthly comfort level? You get pre-approved and you think, okay, I want a big house with a ton of property. Well, are you going to keep that budget amount so you still have money to maintain that property? Or are you buying a small house in town? Like, what does that look like for you? And then just because you're pre-approved for it doesn't mean that your budget can't swing that, right? I know there was a time that I was pre-approved for a house. Great, go to make an offer until I realized what that mortgage payment was, and I was devastated. It wasn't something that was sufficient for me, our lifestyle, and being able to feed my kids and still have fun. So just making sure you know what that looks like for you and getting that all established. And then how long you're planning on staying in that home. So if it's something that's going to be a little bit tighter, but it's a move up house, that's great too, because you have a short term goal in mind. Just making sure that you're working with your agent to know what that pricing strategy looks like and always making a good buy. So you're not trying to recuperate any losses that you're incurring upfront. We see that too often where people make a purchase where the price is higher than they should have paid and they're not able to recuperate those funds on the sales side. So always making a strategic investment with that. And then determining like what your non-negotiable items are. Do you need a garage because you have a lot of outdoor hobbies? Or is that something that doesn't really matter to you in a converted house, where there's no garage because they've converted it into extra living space? Is that more important? So making that list ahead of time is actually pretty important so you don't end up buying the wrong house that doesn't really fit your needs.
And next on the agenda would be to figure out your financing. Get a hold of your agent, ask them for recommendations for a lender, call 3 or 4, make sure you want to be best friends with them and the agent for like the next 6 months before you decide. And then ask them about all the loan options. For example, USDA, pretty popular in Douglas and Lane County. It depends on the property and the exact location, but it has a 0% down. Or like FHA, it's great for first-time home buyers with moderate credit scores, and it only has a down payment of 3.5%. If you happen to be a veteran or active military, you can get a VA loan, which is 0 down. Conventional loans can vary depending on term and property condition and etc. But it's generally between 3 to 20%. And then if you want to be fancy and get a rehab loan, you can get an FHA 203 or a conventional rehab loan. That's a little bit more complicated of a scenario, and maybe we should do another podcast further down the road about a rehab loan because it's pretty intensive. In Douglas and Lane County, especially rural areas, your wells, your septic tanks, and your manufactured homes can create loan qualification challenges. So working with a lender experienced in this is very vital. Before we look at homes, I help you connect with a lender. We verify your eligibility. We estimate your payments. We explain grants or first-time buyer programs. Check rural loan overlays and lock in rates when timing makes sense. The other portion of the payment that I think that first-time buyers especially don't think about are your taxes. I have seen a lot of people that are pre-qualified for like $300,000 for an FHA loan, but where they want to buy, the taxes are like $2,500 a year, and that throws their debt to income off, and then they're no longer eligible to buy that house. So make sure you know what your taxes and your insurance are going to be before you commit to a loan.
So once you have that financing part kind of figured out and what those homes are that you're looking like, that's kind of when we really establish like, okay, what's your budget? What does that look like? What kind of homes are you looking for? Or, make sure you can actually afford them. Like Kimmy was talking about, like once you add those taxes in, all that stuff, that determines your payment. And you just don't want to be looking at houses that don't actually fit your circumstances. So things that we look at in both Douglas and Lane County, we do have more rural properties out here, and then we have really city properties. So focusing on what does the roof condition look like? Where are the fences at? What's that condition? Are you sharing a driveway with someone? Do you have an easement on the property? Pulling all those records so you know where you can actually put a fence if you're wanting to and there isn't one in place yet. Because you don't want to buy a house thinking that you can put a fence up and then, you've got to move it over 20 feet more than you were expecting to, because that happens. So doing your research. Also, one little thing is, so obviously well and septic if you're in a rural property, figuring out where those are, the condition of those. And so one thing for me is like, I always make sure my clients know where the septic tank is and the drain field. You're not going to be able to plant anything on top of the drain field. You really don't want to park anything on top of the drain field and compact that soil, because that's going to cause septic problems for you. So you're planning to pour concrete and put up a big shop or this big expansive garden. Do you really want your garden on top of your drain field? Probably not. That would just be terrible in my opinion. So, and then, if you're up on a hill, like drainage and soil, what does that erosion look like? The types of soil, if you're planning on farming, any of that. So just making sure that you're really aware of those things. If there's a creek running through the property, like irrigation and water rights, what does that look like? In Oregon, there have been some changes lately. So making sure that your agent knows exactly what's going on with those is pretty important. And that's one of the fortunate things about us that I like, is we like to nerd out on those kinds of things and really be able to tell our clients like, hey, this is actually what's going on, not just kind of like, I don't know. You'll figure it out when you move in, because that's not always going to work.
Would you believe that the last house I bought before I became an agent had 32 easements on it and nobody told me?
Oh my gosh.
Until we went to go sell it, and the people purchasing it wanted to build a shop, but when we got the report back, they backed out because they couldn't.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, pretty important.
Thanks. Yeah, we have a 15-foot easement on our driveway, so that's going to affect where we put our fencing. Because it's crazy. And the fact that agents don't talk about that. Yeah. It's sad. I mean, to say the least, it causes a lot of problems, or it can. 32 easements. That's crazy.
The title company said that was the record.
Okay, I believe it. Oh my gosh. That is wild.
Yeah, I freaked out a little bit.
Yeah. But okay. Yeah. That's just crazy.
I know. Sorry.
No, that's good. Like, it's a real life applicable experience. So that's great. And then like, are outbuildings permitted? If you're able to, if someone's wanting to build an ADU, like if you want to build an ADU on your property, but you're zoned and you're under that zoning restriction, you can't build an ADU, or, they say you can't. So you're going to get in trouble and have to take down your ADU if you get caught, and you don't want to do that. So going through all that permitting process, and what does that look like if you're going to want to do something like that? And then we also like to look at the value of the property. Like, where does it sit right now? What's your estimated like equity gain over the years? So if you plan on living in this house for 5 years, okay, well, what does that look for you? The traditional trends in the market, like resaleability. Okay, great, you found a good deal, but is it still going to be a good deal for you to sell it to someone else in 5 years? Or is it going to be a great deal for them and a bummer for you because you just lost a ton of equity because you were putting it in at the wrong time? So we like to go over that stuff too, and just making sure that everything's going to fit your long-term goals and where you're at with that.
Yeah. Well, on to making an offer. So what we need to know when we're making an offer, we want to know what you want to offer, what you want the purchase price to be. We need to know how much earnest money you need to put down. I personally have made deals happen with $100 worth of earnest money and $20,000 worth of earnest money. So it's all relative to the transaction and to the buyer and the seller and what you two agree upon. The other thing is contingencies. Do you need to sell your house before you buy another house? Is that house on the market? Are there repairs that you need done in the house that are a deal breaker for you? And your preferred closing time. Do you need a 45-day closing? Do you need a 30-day closing? I think the quickest closing I've done on a finance one was 17 days, which was pretty pushing it to get through the inspections and appraisal and all the things. It was pretty intense. It was kind of a mess for a while. And I think the longest one I did was 97 days because he was active military and he was moving out here from North Carolina. And he didn't want the house under his name until he lived here, which is totally well within his rights. And then concessions of the repairs. When we get the repair or when we get the inspection report back, do you want to request that they do repairs? Do you want to request a lower purchase price? Do you want a mixture of both? Are the repairs actually needed? Do they affect the structure of the home? Those are all things I like to take into consideration. And in our market, currently, we are in a buyer's market, is how I view it, which gives you a little bit more buying power. Do you need the sellers to cover closing costs? Do I need to find you down payment assistance? Do I need to ask for 4% to buy you down a point instead of asking for 3%? I've had some clients that needed 6% in closing costs that we've made work. Do you need them to pay for your buyer's agent commission? And how did you negotiate that with your buyer's agent? And hopefully you did, because that's a requirement.
Awesome. Like, we're going to have to do some more videos on like just some of those contingencies and like really drill into them and the different.
Because some of them
There's
get
just so much
complicated and real murky.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Oh my
And I
gosh.
think you get a lot of the long shots. So
Yes.
yeah.
We're just going to throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. Like, let's just hope.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Creativity at its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then inspections and due diligence. So with that, oh gosh. So with offers, I always like to do a 10-day inspection period. So that's 10 business days from the time you have that offer accepted. So you schedule your inspection with a professional inspector. And then if there's a well, you do a well inspection for the water quality. You do a well flow test to make sure you're getting enough power, because sometimes those wells don't have flow or not good enough flow for your family. So you don't want to be moving into a house with like 2 GPM well flow with 5 daughters that love to take showers all the time and a farm. It's not going to work. You're going to need a lot of holding tanks. Yeah. So then you're going to want to know if it's really worth it. And if you want to buy some holding tanks, for
Yeah.
what that's going to look like.
Those are cheap.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously the septic. So we like to always have the sellers pump the septic because it's their waste, not yours. Or at least that's my preference. And then we generally do an inspection because it's our job to inspect it and make sure it's up to code, that it's not got a bunch of tree roots growing through it and impacted drain fields because they were, parking all over it all the time.
And if
You're
anybody
gonna
wants to see a picture of what that looks like, let me know.
Oh gosh, so gross. Yeah, a swamp in your yard. Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the opposite of that would be like getting a sewer scope if you're in the city. Super important because you never know what settled since the last fires were there, and you don't want anything not draining or backing up in places they should not. It could be equally disgusting, or if not more, because it's into your house.
Yeah.
So I guess both could actually back up into your house. So making sure that you're actually doing those inspections. One thing that a lot of people don't do is a pest and dry rot inspection. So you definitely, when your inspector's down under the house or in, your crawl space and stuff like that, they're going to tell you if there's any visual things that might come up. But then it's on you to do your due diligence to go under there and have that pest control person come out and take a look and see, like, is it a previous problem that was remediated? Does it need to be remediated? Because I'm telling you, once they have to like pull all of your insulation, spray your whole underneath your house, and then that's just what they do. Then you have to have someone else come in and re-put insulation all back up for you. So just depending, and I mean, people don't really like crawling under houses in small spots, so they're going to charge you more for it. And like, I think the last time I checked was a few months ago, and it was like an extra $1 a square foot for insulation under a house. Yeah. Like, that's not cheap. Once you add it up to your average house, like what, 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet, $1 a square foot is going to add up quick. So, and then there's, if you have a manufactured home, or is it tied down to the foundation? These are all things that are going to come up. That's going to be a lender requirement too. So it's just not about how picky you are. Like, yes, we don't have tornadoes here. It's not going to pick up your house and fling it around, but it's a lender requirement. So you're going to have it. And then obviously lead-based paint. So if your house is older, or the house you're looking at is older, you're going to want to look at that. Does it have lead-based paint? Have they painted over it? Like, maybe is there asbestos in the ceiling? Which if they paint over it, it's technically fine. But once you chip away at it, you're exposing it, and so it becomes an issue again. So is that something that you're comfortable living with, or are you going to want to have them remediate that for you? Or are you going to ask them for credit in your, all those kinds of things. And so there's a lot of stuff. So and then after, like I was just saying, ask for repairs, requesting a price reduction, or just move forward as it is because it's a great deal, or you just really love the property and you've penciled it out. So, if it's $1,000 fix, is it going to make or break the deal? It's probably something that you might be able to afford if you're buying a house. So you're just like willing to go with it. Or what I like to do is ask for it. And then we can negotiate. That's my big thing.
Let me do my job for you.
Exactly. So I always advocate for my clients to ask for it. I did it for my own purchase. So I'm like, total little side trail here. But we just purchased our dream home here in June. And of course, I self-represented for our family. And when it came time to read the inspection report, I got quotes from every vendor I could possibly get. And then I wrote up this crazy addendum where we didn't ask for any repairs, but I asked them for $27,000 in seller concessions. They're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, since you asked, here's my report. And these are the reasons why I'm asking for that amount of a credit, but I don't want us to get held up in financing. So just go ahead and take that money off of our deal. and we'll fix it ourselves once we move in, and it'll be repaired to our standards. I felt nauseous when I hit send. And I was like, all they can do is say no, though. That's it.
And then you
And
just keep.
exactly.
Mhm.
So you just have to find your own risk tolerance. But we got the $27,000 credit, which is not normal. Just saying.
Yeah.
It was a crazy, like, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks kind of a
Mhm.
thing. And it works. So yeah, just making sure that you really know and like strategizing what those repairs are, and then knowing what they cost and what your risk tolerance is.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part of the transaction is actually the appraisal period, because I think that it's the most stressful part. We don't get to pick the appraisers. Sometimes they only tell us like the day before they're going to go appraise. So it can be kind of dicey. And if they call anything out, the seller has to repair it or we can't close the deal. Unlike the inspection report, you can negotiate, you can go back and forth, you can fix it, not fix it. But whatever the appraiser calls out, you have to fix in order for the funding to go through. And fun fact, if it's a VA appraisal, it stays on the books for 90 days, even if you don't close. And say somebody else comes along with a VA loan, they use that same appraisal for 90 days. So you're going to have to fix it anyways. That's the part about appraisals I don't necessarily like. But on the flip side, sometimes you'll get an agent like me, and sometimes the paint is chipped on the outside, and it's an FHA loan, and that has to be fixed. And you will catch me out there painting. I've done it a lot. Or taking the moss off of the roof, or whatever it is. I'm willing to fix it to continue with the deal. So after the appraisal comes in and it's fine, everything's hunky dory, we get the clear to close from the lender, which is like Christmas for a real estate agent. Then after that, we make appointments at the title company and we set up signing. And as a general rule, you get the keys at 5 o'clock the day of closing after it's recorded with the county. And then the house is officially yours.
That sounds so simple.
It's so simple. It's so simple. It doesn't even keep me up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh, right? I'm like, the craziest hours are flexible hours. No.
Oh, I was having that talk with somebody earlier today, and I was like, no, I'm on like 15 other people's schedules. I'm not,
Right?
I'm not on my schedule. I'm on my clients' time schedules.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I work more evenings and weekends now than I ever did before.
Yeah, we go to 9 to 5 to work 24/8.
Right, exactly. Like, the only difference is I actually like my job, and it's like so satisfying to actually help people find a house instead of like doing paperwork or something ridiculous that I used to do before. So
No, my absolute favorite is the long shot, first time buyer, getting it to work deal. One of my very first transactions ever for a first time buyer, it was a USDA direct loan, which can be a real pain because they're so strict on everything. They didn't have any money saved up because life circumstances. I was able to get them into the house at asking $100 earnest money, new water heater, and new HVAC.
oh my gosh.
And we closed in like, I think it was like 28-day closing, which is kind of crazy for USDA direct.
Yeah, that's insane.
Those are my favorite though. I like the long shots. I like the ones that are almost impossible to do.
Yep, a challenge.
Yeah, especially for a first time buyer.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and these people, it was even cooler because their kids had always lived in an apartment complex, so they'd never had a yard.
Oh,
it was a closing gift. I bought them slip and slide and outdoor chalk and like all the things. And then like once a year on the anniversary, I just drop more off.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. But those are, I mean, those are, I think I can speak for pretty much everybody, but stuff like that's what keeps us going and keeps us invested in what we're doing and keeps us learning and, you know, just keeps us going at it.
Oh, absolutely. Once you build those connections, it's like they're friends for life, no matter
Yeah.
if you see them once a year or you become like friends that actually go out and do things together on a regular basis,
Yeah.
like having those connections are so incredible.
No, I run into her every once in a while, like Fred Meyers or whatever. And she like squeals and screams every time she sees me and gives
Oh,
me a hug. Like, so, and I think it's been like 3 years, so
that's
3
amazing.
or something like that. Yeah.
Aw, man.
Well,
I'm like,
we made it through
all
our
right,
first podcast.
we did. I'm like, that was pretty intense.
I'm interested to see what like everybody's reactions that are watching this and what they would like us to dive more into. And if they would like more information specific to Douglas County or Lane County, or do
Oh,
they want to know about loans or more about septics? And I think, what is it, next week we're going to do a podcast with a lender. So if
Mhm.
anybody has lender specific questions, let us know and we can get
Absolutely.
them on the list to be answered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in my heart, I love contingent sales. So, like, if you've ever wanted to know anything about contingent sales, send me your questions because I want to do one of those too soon.
Yeah, those get real wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And feel free to reach out to both of us with any of that stuff or just to give us some feedback because, this was our first one. And
Good
I'm
or
nervous at least.
good or bad, we'll take the feedback.
Yes, absolutely. Growth, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.